Hello.
Hey Nika, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Turn this up a
Yeah,
little bit.
good.
Yeah. I was listening to the album earlier on here and I had to turn it down so it wasn't like waking up all the neighbors.
Probably not the best. Probably an all right way to wake up for some, but not others. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in a small conservative town, so metal is not usually what the neighbors are listening to.
I hear you. Yeah, like a lot of towns to some degree. It's
Right.
always the minority. Yeah.
What time is it over there?
It is 11:30 in the morning in New York State.
Oh, okay. Okay. So is that where you're at? You're in New York?
Right now I am, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I oh my watch is trying to talk to. Yeah, I just figured you were in Australia, and so I was like, well, gosh, it's got to be tomorrow, but I would think it would be like super late or early.
Yeah, it'd be about 2 in the morning
Yeah,
back home, I think. 1 or 2 in the morning. Yeah, it'd be awful time to do an interview.
yeah.
Yeah.
My son takes guitar lessons from Ro from 12 Foot Ninja, and he takes them Monday nights at 9 p.m. here, and it's 2 p.m. the next day. We're at Ro's time because he's in, I think, Melbourne time.
Yeah, Melbourne. Yeah, 12 Foot Ninja. They're a good band.
Yeah, yeah, he has a lot of fun with him. He's a great teacher. Hendrix has had a few different
Great.
my son's name is Hendrix, and he's had a few different
Cool.
guitar instructors throughout his playing, and he really enjoys Ro.
That's awesome that he's got a guitar. You're supporting him doing that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, he loves it. He just left yesterday for a month. Ugh, which is so hard. He's 16, but I hate being away from him. But he's working with my parents a few hours away to earn some money to buy himself another guitar. He's got like five, but never have too
That's
many.
awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds like he's hooked.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. He just discovered Dimebag. It was the first time that because he hasn't when I was pregnant with him, I listened to Pantera, but he didn't really like metal a whole lot until the last probably year. And he just discovered Pantera and now is like wanting to shred all the time solos.
Dick.
Yeah. So the album comes out next month. You've released one song so far. It is heavy. That I've listened to the album so many times already. It's such a powerful album with so much going on. There's not only so much going on musically, there's so many layers of
Mm,
different musical elements, but there's so much going on lyrically, there's so much going on philosophically. Tell me a little bit about making this.
there is a lot going on. Um, Look, we've always had a lot going on, except I think we've had a more dynamic range of going from as soft as possible and as pretty and vulnerable in that space to then how heavy can we go as well. And then you'll have a sliding scale. And for this record, with the exit of the member who could produce the clean, softer style vocals, we intentionally didn't just like go, okay, we're gonna go heavy, that's obvious. But if that's a color and yellow and gold is the pretty stuff, let's say, and then deep dark purple, the indigo is the heavy. Well, how much of the purple navy in that realm can we explore and still have it be interesting and have a lot going on? So we really dove as deep as we could, and I feel that we discovered colors that we didn't even know were on our spectrum. Um, like some ultraviolet stuff with like the almost, I don't want to say EDM kind of like production, but there's a lot of that really intense soundtracky production, which you don't even notice that it's there, but really adds to the epic like heavy darkness that we are conveying in this record. And we found some lyrical patterns as well, vocal patterns, sorry, that are a bit more frenetic and more chaotic, and also they needed to be to hold interest and keep us engaged as music writers as well as listeners. So we, without throwing to the, oh, we'll just bring in a clean guy now, like that's how we'll keep interesting. So I think that it challenged us in ways that we needed to be challenged to discover those unseen colors. Yeah.
So with yeah, with Kyle leaving, and you guys not having the clean vocals anymore, do you, and maybe you don't know yet, but do you know moving forward, are you gonna keep like more of this recipe that you've done with Incarnation moving forward, or are you just gonna kind of see where the next one takes you?
See where the next one takes us. However, I do feel in my gut that we've unlocked something that now can't be caged again. Like it's really there's something out there and it's really good. So if we do bring in an additional element again of singing and things like that, it wouldn't be a fallback easy thing that we would just have. We would want to go next level with that so that we can with our heavy. Um, but each record we do, like I'd like to feel that like any great film director that we love to watch their films, whether it's Quentin Tarantino or I mean, how good's Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan, like there's still a tone to what they create, but they definitely go into that world, whatever it is that they're making, and they really go there. And to not compare ourselves to greats because we're not, but we love what they do. And in a sense, like we've gone there on this record, and I don't know what the next record might have, and it might actually mean that we need to bring in those softer elements. I don't know, to be honest with you, but I know that we can pull it off without it, and that feels really empowering. Yeah.
Yes. I for one really enjoy the album a lot with what you guys are doing. And you do a lot of different things even within the power of, I know you still have a backing vocalist, but really within the power of what you're able to accomplish, you do a lot of different things throughout this album. Um I'm probably gonna butcher the name of the song, but is it Mishigama? You do
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
totally different
Michigama.
in
Yep.
that song than you do in the rest of them. And I was kind of surprised by it because I was like, even though there's different things going on in different songs, I was like, okay, I see what we're doing. And then that song like totally flipped it on its head again. And I love that. I love when albums can do that and bands can do that. So tell me about that song.
Well, that song in particular, I don't know whether you would have noticed because it's not listed in the discography, like the track listing, and it's intentionally done that way. But there are a number of guest vocalists, especially on that song, and there's a couple of other songs, which are distinguishedly like you can tell that it's not me, but we didn't want, we intentionally didn't want to. This record's not about guest vocals. That's not the story here. The story is, band going back to core basics. Um, that being said, us asking guest vocalists to come on board was not because we didn't feel that we could carry the weight without them, but it's because of the revisiting of Divination to Incarnation, which were their counterpart albums 12 years apart. So we're actually revisiting some relationships that we established 12 years ago. And that's what you're hearing, particularly on Mishigama. There's some old relationships as well as a couple of new ones. And that song is entirely got to do with the state because we've recorded 5 records there now. And we went there without a following or any sort of um, legacy or resume to lean on at first. And the people of that state that we experienced, because they were so, I don't know whether they're isolated in the middle of the country and have to experience such cold and such, harshness. There's a survival mentality and a community aspect that we were really welcomed into, being all the way from Australia, which was so foreign to the people that we met. And so they really they gave us like they just opened their basements to us. They'd even take us out to dinner. A lot of things that I haven't really associated, such hospitality with since like maybe, when you're in Germany, the German hospitality is always they're known for in the music industry. So this was really paying respects to the state and to the people. And we asked some of those people, which aren't even like vocalists. They gave us rooms to stay in to scream and be on the record in some way, shape, or form. And it's very there's I think there's 4 people on that song that are all just played a part in our story over there, as well as Josh, the guy who's recorded the record, and all the others. He's produced production that song too. So, and Mishigama, what it means, land of the big lake is essentially the badly translated Native American term to English. So that's where Michigan comes from, is Michigama, which I thought was a really like actually quite beautiful.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I never knew that. I never knew that. So that's, you just educated me on something. You do have very interesting titles to your songs. Not only with the titles themselves, but then you have the side tarot titles that are backwards, upside down, inside out. Tell me why. I mean, I know
Yeah.
that, like you said, you're going
hmm
back to the divination, and that's why you're using the tarot again. But tell me how
hmm
why you decided to do it that way with the titles.
Sure. Some tarot readers, not all tarot readers read like this. So it's not like the way to do a tarot reading per se. However, the generic way that tarot is, um, I guess, explained or delivered, at least online and in most books, is when you flip a card over, if it's the right way up, it gives you like it's not its core meaning, but let's call it like heads or tails. It gives you its upright meaning. Um, and then if it's upside down when you flip the card, it's giving you the inverse meaning. It doesn't mean good or bad. It's just looking at the shadow or the light of something. For instance, you might need more sugar in your life, more joy, more sunshine, to bring you out of that place. But it can also be you've got too much sunshine, too much light, but you're actually burning in the light. Therefore, like maybe it's time to come step back. So this record is very much the inverse meaning, because every song is in the shadow of its core essence and meaning of that card. So the devil isn't just like, oh, it's fear and these things which the devil can represent. It's like the whole world is flips upside down so much so that there's too much. There's too much of this, and it's all in excess essentially. And so it was cool to discover like how could we do that in a song title, how you put it upside down, and I just so happened that in the discovery of that the songs were all relating to the inverse meanings throughout every single song. You can actually select it like on Google to like put this text upside down. I was like, oh, that looks cool. Maybe you can do that for every single one, and then it's just like just adds to the meaning of what the songs are about. So yeah.
That's so cool. That's such an interesting way of not only the whole philosophy of the album in general, or and what you guys are doing, but just of the visualization. Um, okay, I want to go in too many different directions with this. Let's go to the album cover with the owl, the moths, the skull, the worms, all that kind of stuff. I'm assuming, since you already have such a package deal with this, that that also has to go along with the meaning of the album and what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the same way that the cards are inverted and flipped, as opposed to them being upright on Divination, our debut record. With Divination, we had a stag, we had, I believe, a wolf. Every single animal just happened to be from the Northern Hemisphere, which was appropriate for us going to America for the first time. It was very much a forest scene. It didn't feel like it had an element of enchantment, but it didn't feel dark. Um, you know what I mean? And so with this record here, if you look at the artwork, which you'll get to see the full spread for those that have the CD, because it's actually a long piece of art. There's a goanna, there's I think there's a quoll, there's a snake, and there's the eastern barn owl, as well as what are cicadas. They're actually cicadas throughout, which look like moths, but was intentionally to be cicadas. And all these animals are from the southern hemisphere, all found in Australia, and the scene is very much the middle of the night. So, and every card that's scattered throughout the artwork, you can see that all the cards are flipped upside down to reflect. So yeah, we're very much in the shadow in the underworld, and the it's like a catabasis diving deep into exploring all those parts of ourselves and of the world. So yeah, it's intentionally baked in there. And I will add that the owl, in many mythologies, is essentially like the messenger, or and of the underworld. And it's also like you see that like on philosophers like Merlin, even in Harry Potter, like it's always that messenger and that sort of deliverer of spirit. Yeah.
Do you have a tattoo of an owl yet?
I don't have a single tattoo, but
No?
if I did get a tattoo, it would probably be an owl or some winged creature, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So you do put a lot of thought, time, and effort into the lyrical meanings of your songs. That's been across the board throughout your history. Where do you usually get your inspiration? And do you ever like have times of where you get writer's block? I assume not because you're using real life experiences, but
Get writer's block sometimes. Um, Inspiration, well, it's really helpful when you've got a when you with the tarot, because if you get to in times of block, look at the card itself and what are elements on the card that either speak to personal story or just the elements themselves. Describe the emperor. Okay, I did on Tyrant. Like, he's sitting on a four horned throne, and in rows with withered fingers. Like, you can really get descriptive. So often just going to things like that, tangible things that we can see or feel. But I don't usually like to waste an opportunity of a song on something that's just feeble, unless the song is really saying that it just needs to be simple and obvious, and almost not dumb, but like simple.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? So there's a time and a place for it, but I usually like to use the opportunity to really say something, because like, a lot of work goes into a song. Like, I don't want to waste that opportunity to have it really have intent.
Oops. Oops. Tell me about Transmission. That one is the one that seems to stick with me the most. And I think it's because of the lyrics. Like it's a very emotional pull of a song. So tell me
Yeah,
about that one.
sure. Look, that's probably, yeah, it's a song that I'd say, I don't want to say it's feeling the most, but in that emotional, like, yeah, that level of, um there's a lot going on for sure. Look, Orphan, I was feeling a lot in that too, but that's a different kind of a feeling. So with Transmission, at the time there was like there's a bit of a story behind it, so that I was able to connect with it so well. But just on a musical front, when I first heard the music itself, that chorus with that lead, uh, I it's one of those things. Within 30 seconds, I had the chorus written vocally. Not all songs do that. Some will take months or even a year before we nail it. But that one was just like there was something coming through, if you would, that it's like I can't hear it any other way. And someone could ask me, could you change it in this way or that way? And I could come from a place of knowing to say, no, like this is the way that it needs to be. And it's not always like that. And then when it's so direct and clear, I think it came through in the performance of it, that I heard it and felt so strongly about it. And without the vocals, it was actually a song that was up for debate whether it would be on the album, because it musically it felt like it was off on its own and maybe to quote. But once the guys heard the vocals, it brought it back to a place and made it make sense that we all just like, this has to be on the record and it needs to be the last track. And emotionally, what was happening at the time, there's a lot of longing and belonging in that song, which is something that I connect to a lot, being half American, half Australian, and like feeling like I belong to two different places on different parts of the world, and having a traveler my whole life, an only child. So it's like, where do I fit in? No siblings to sort of relate in the same experience. I think there's a touching on that mixed with my best friend Ika, and he is like Jamaican Australian. He's a person of color, and he is like an incredible actor who's in Hollywood at the moment. He's in the new Planet of the Apes.
Oh,
He was the lead actor for our debut film clip Traveler, which was the first song of Divination 12 years ago. And he's had three kids since, and his eldest son, who I believe was 11 years old, who he had a year after Divination came out, um, tragically was like diagnosed with this rare tumor, and they did everything they could, and he passed away a week before me doing that song. And so I had the invitation to fly to California to be part of the funeral and part of like sending this boy off in a really beautiful way, bring the whole community together, and it being this open like thing they're inviting people into. And it meant that I would miss a whole week of what was I was there to do, to create this record and really like have it count. So I put all of that emotion and feeling into that song and let that be the spirit of what was coming through. So just, yeah, and it felt really right and honoring to do that, having have Ika be part of this whole journey of both records, and it came through in a way I didn't expect it to. So there's that you're probably picking up on, a bit of that feeling. Where do I belong when the ones I love are gone? An Ika feeling. I could hear the, like, just I lost my eldest son and my child. Like this is, being like in the bliss of death, but like finding meaning in it all as well is really, so yeah. So
Oh
that's
my
what
gosh.
transition's
Wow.
about.
Yeah. The emotion definitely carries through in the song. Definitely, definitely. And it's it's got the hook too. So the hook yeah is something that sticks anyways, but it's a beautiful song. It's definitely, if I could pick a favorite, which is really hard with this album because there is so much going on and there's so many amazing elements to each song for different reasons. But that one just definitely seems to be the one that I'll wake up and it'll be in my head and I'm like, all right, there it is.
Yeah, yeah, it's nice to hear that. It spoke to me really strongly, and I fought for it, as in my own way. So it's nice to hear that, because there's none of our, like, our close friends have heard, the record, but not many people that are outside of that circle. So it's nice to hear that reflection of that track, so that it speaks to you. And I don't think that'll speak to everyone, but to some it will. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be interesting to see for sure once it comes out on how people react. I am a emotional listener anyways. I don't always remember to listen to lyrics because I just love music so much that sometimes I just get lost into the music. But every once in a while I'll feel the emotion. I mean, even with bands that don't have lyrics, there's still definitely an emotional pull with just music in
Mm.
general. But that one, I was like, okay, I need to pay attention to what's being said here because it's bringing something out in me. So I'll be surprised if a lot of people don't have the same response for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and musically, it's not your modern, technical, like, what I'm saying, like, it's not, it's quite simple, um, but it's just in saying that simple is simple done well or done right, coming from a right place, can feel, not technical, but it can feel really, intentional to the point. And that's something that, yeah, something came through in that I just couldn't turn away from.
Oh,
There's
I
a
love
humanness
that.
to it. There's a humanness to it, I think. Yeah.
I think that's so important too, especially these days. My goodness.
But you can't
Okay.
manufacture it. Yeah, you can't manufacture it.
No.
And it doesn't always work, and it hasn't always worked for our band. It just sometimes it does, but it happens to be, it happens in a small glimmer of a one or two of 10, because you can't have all 10 tracks being that, mind you. But when it works, it works. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it definitely did with this one. Tell me about Shell Shock. That one's so cool. It's so diverse and crazy and just awesome.
Yeah, it is diverse. We really love the mosh. There's a mosh part that felt kind of not throwback, but just like, it was so satisfying. It scratched the itch, which the song ends on the part, and it flips to it. And so this whole idea of, like, you don't feel it coming, and then, like, shell shock, it's like the trauma that comes back, and it's reliving that. And so musically, it was like processing stuff, that things that are buried deep within us that we aren't even aware of, that come up, and then we become afraid that they will come up. And it was finding a way to how to embrace those things, and highlight them as part of who we are, without glorifying and, like, giving them a voice who would become them. And so this whole, like, the whole, it's I've seen it a lot thrown around in modern culture at the moment, like kintsugi, this Japanese form of back. Yeah, is it all good? It's working. Yeah, cool. Um, so anyway, that's the songs, "Rivers of Gold in Porcelain," "Light Up the Dark in Everything." So that's that feeling of, yeah, wanting to recognize those things, and that they're gold, and they make us, and ultimately define us. So they don't define us, but they help us understand who we are. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Shell shock. Yeah.
And like continuation of that, it's something I ask everybody because I think it's an important question to ask. What are some things you do to help yourself with balance, to help yourself with your self-care, with your mental health, those types of things?
Well, I don't know if it works for everyone. It works for me, at least. It's just being out, being outdoors, And for those that are in the city, if they've got a balcony or the nearest park, that'll even, be enough. But for me, in the backyard of suburbia still, still okay. But I just need that. That's my way to regulate. It can be a lot for some people. I've witnessed a lot of people be too much because when you step out into the quiet, all of the noise actually steps in, and that can be overwhelming. That it doesn't feels counterproductive. So taking baby steps if it's that noisy is just but understand that I think what's coming up are the things that we often need to look at, but it's hard to just go and jump in the deep end. So just having some care and understanding around that. But it's my way of regulating, and journaling. If you can even just to journal those things down, can act as like a self-reflective mirror. And it's kind of flipped now that I feel more at peace and out there than in the four-walled room. It's like actually can be a lot coming back when I've gone so far into that world, which is what I do now. I go so far into that world that the other world's hard to step back into. But straddling, if you can straddle both, I think that's a good balance.
Yeah, no, definitely. And being around water if you can, I think as well in those like forest elements or beach elements, whichever.
Water's particularly grounding. 100%. It's actually has a physiological thing where it activates the nervous system and resets everything. There's a reason why a lot of actors that act when they've got to wash off their character, it'll be, from what I've heard, an ocean swim, a pool plunge, or even a cold shower, a way to like reset, these things that they've taken on, which is essentially part of their own, but it's other stories and things that it's hard to know what's ours and what's theirs with our families and with the people we work with half the time.
Right.
We are products of our own environment. So yeah, water's a great way to reset and
I read a
cleanse.
book a couple years ago that was called Blue Mind, and it was talking about the science about being in honor around water, and kind of touches on a little bit of what you're saying too. But they do actually like scientific experiments to see what is happening inside the body and inside the brain when you're around water or in water. It was really really good. One of my favorite books. But now I've always loved the rain anyways. But when it rains, I just go outside barefoot and stand in it, and it's just a complete like rejuvenation. I love it so much. And I know like not a lot of people love the rain, but if you could like understand, yeah, the science behind how it can help you. Oh my goodness, it can just be
Yeah,
so good for the soul.
totally,
Yes.
totally.
No,
Water is life. End of the day, no one can deny that.
for sure. For sure. I mean, we're literally made of it. So
Mm,
Oh, well, thank you so much for taking this time with me. I was really excited to dig inside your mind. I love what you guys are doing. I love your lyrical concepts. The feeling of the album is so much energy, so much going on. Got some soul in there, got some just heavy awesomeness. I absolutely love it. It's definitely gonna be in my top for the year.
thanks so much. Appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time to listen to it and actually absorb it, like to feel it. I really appreciate that. That's what art at the end of the day you hope for. that it that it can kind of, yeah, be more than just judge on a surface level of music. So
Of
thank you.
course, yeah.
Appreciate it.
But I mean, thank you for creating that, because that's not always something that you can do with just any music. There has to be something there to be pulled out of. And so thank you for creating something that I was able to do that with, and it was able to give me that feeling. It's always so exciting to find albums that you're like, okay, this is giving me an experience, versus just like, okay, this is fun to listen to, and I'll just
Yeah,
try to come up with some
yeah,
questions.
totally. Well, no, we definitely gave ourselves to this. It's almost so much that I can't even I can barely remember. Like it's almost like a different person was there in that experience when I sort of reflect back because we really went into that deep, dark, wintry place of Michigan. We didn't leave the basement for 7 weeks, and we were just in it because that's what it required, and we couldn't get away with. Well, at least we couldn't fool ourselves with any fakery or like that'll do because
Yeah.
we could hear it, and then we'd have to like redo anything that did even a take that. So we totally did our best and went there. And so yeah, I'm really proud of us because it took a lot of courage. This one more than ever, because we had to just have some conversations and go to some places that were very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, and
But stoked on it.
when you're in a physical uncomfortable place too, I mean, it's almost
Yeah.
like a movie. It's like you said, you can't fake it when you're in the whole element itself. It's not like you're going back to the comfort of your own home or the comfort of,
Uh,
whatever. You have to go there. And I'm glad that you guys did. I'm sure it was uncomfortable at times, but I'm glad that you guys did. And I hope that moving forward it becomes more comfortable for you guys in a way that like finding comfort in the discomfort, if that makes sense.
yeah. Yeah. Performing it. Yes. I think writing and performing are very different things in a sense. Performing is just, you've got to be in it for 3 minutes per song, and writing it, you've got to bake yourself and steep yourself in it to feel it so much that you are it to a degree in order for it to be real.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah. So
Ooh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Speaking of which, I mean, is that something that you guys are planning on since you're in the States? Is that something you guys are planning on being able to tour within the States with this album?
We're touring in October. Yeah, October. It's Miss May's, was it 15
Oh,
year
that's
tour of
right. That's
their
right.
debut record, I think. So they've given us a really good spot. Main support on something like that is perfect for what we need, where the pressure is off us to have to headline and deliver in that sense, but we can just come in there and and be that strong, solid four piece and deliver this like new material in a really comfortable way. So I'm really grateful for that. It's going to be a good tour.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I know I saw that you guys are skirting around us. You're not coming here. Do you know if you guys will be or if they'll be adding any more dates? Because there's like a couple days in between where you're gonna be in
No,
like Salt Lake is one of them, and then it might be Seattle, and I'm like, oh, we're right in between there, and there's a day.
no, what they dictate the days and the routing, and we play along. So
Okay.
I don't believe there's no. I think there's one show they're adding at the very end, which is why it's blanked out. But
Okay.
I don't believe that's a huge hike from wherever it is. That's probably in their home area, I think.
Okay.
So no other added shows. Yeah.
Maybe I'll see if I can travel then. Because yeah, I was like, oh
Uh,
man, there's like it's just gonna split
yeah.
it. But that happens all the time with Idaho.
It does, because there's so many places you can play in America, it appears.
Plus, in the West, I mean, the states are so far apart, and of course, you have to hit Washington, you have to hit Oregon, you have to hit California, and you have to hit Utah, and so we're just kind of like forgotten in there because it's just too much room in between any of them.
Where are you?
In Boise, Idaho,
Yeah, Idaho gets, yeah.
it's all right. I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah, it does, because they hug the thing and then duck in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Makes
yeah.
sense in some way. Yeah,
Well, if I
unfortunately.
do
It's a
miss
good
you guys,
place.
it is. It is. Yeah, it's beautiful. Lots of water, lots of trees, lots of nature. We're basically one big park. But yeah, hopefully if I miss you this time, hopefully I'll be able to see you guys one of the other times that you come through.
Sounds good. All right.
Awesome.
Nice to speak with you, and bring Hendrix along when he's either old enough or can get into the show.
For sure.
Show froth on that heavy music.
Oh no, he's
Although he
been
probably should.
to so many shows now. Death Clock is his new favorite. So we went and saw Death Clock a
Okay,
couple months ago, and that's been his
cool,
new like go to. Yeah, well, he'll
cool,
definitely be coming along.
awesome. All
Awesome.
right. Thanks so much for your time.
Yep. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.